lots and lots of new books. Is there a specific one that you'll want? No? I will write new books. I don't know how to do anything else. It's not like I can drive a taxi successfully. Honestly, this is the best use for me. I think we can probably squeeze in maybe... Blue, yes. What was my favorite book as a kid? Oh, what a good question. This may sound a little mad. When I was at school, I used to love the school library, as you may have figured out from the stuff that I've said already. And they had these very, very old, very battered, first edition, probably would have been worth something except they were so beaten up and the maps had been ripped out and stuff. These copies of the first 2 volumes of Lord of the Rings. So there was the Fellowship of the Ring and the 2 Towers, and that was all they had. So I would read them over and over again. And finally, and I would always imagine what the 3rd book would be like. And finally, when I was 12, I won the school English prize. They said, you can have any book you like. And I said, I would like The Return of the King. And the truth is, I think my favorite book was The Return of the King in my head. Over and over, because, and even though I loved the real book, nothing could ever be quite as good as this thing that I had in my head. Do we have time for one more? Do I have approval for one more? Yes. I do. Yes. Okay.
Are you going to return to the London below set?
To?
The London down below set?
London, yes. Am I going to return to London Below? I really should. I should return to so many things. I am a bad author.
I love the book. I love the BBC series.
You know that currently there exists half a short story called How the Marquis Got His Coat Back. And, and I started writing it years ago in a beautiful notebook that a fan gave me. And said, at a signing, that's it. This is a handmade paper, and it has crushed rose petals in it, and it's for you, and please write a story in it. I thought, how beautiful. And I got it, and I started trying to write in it. And I discovered that if you try and write in fountain pen on paper that has crushed rose petals in it, the rose petals get into your fountain pen and clog it. So I got about 5 pages in to the story of how the Marquis got his coat back. And I went, I am not enjoying this writing experience at all. And I put it down and got a different notebook and opened it up. And then felt like I'd be betraying the story by starting again. So instead I wrote a story called Monarch of the Glen, which is the American Gods story that I did. So how the Marquis got his coat back exists. In my head, a whole novel called The Seven Sisters exists, in which it's a few years after the events of Neverwhere, and it's mostly about the entire run of the Seven Sisters, Victoria and Putney and Hugh, and Serpentine, who we've actually met in the first one, and their bed. There is a brass bed involved, because I was reading a book once called London Under London, and it was talking about mysteries of the London sewers, and it mentioned that one day some sewer workers were going through a sewer in London, and they found a brass bed, fully assembled, put together, in the sewer. In a sewer, you couldn't have got it into or got it out. They had to disassemble it to take it out. And nobody could ever figure out what this brass bed was doing in the stream of an underground river in a sewer in London, and I know. And with that, thank you all.